How are you? Welcome to more conversations about our immigrant ancestors. And today, I have a culture for you that's just fascinating. They're the Yugoslavians. It's not a very big nation. But listen to this. Talk about, I think it's incredible confusion, but it's never seemed to bother them. They have 2 alphabets, 3 religions, 4 main languages, 5 nationalities, 6 republics, and 7 nations bordering this single country. That's Yugoslavia. Now look at the map. You can see around the nation, first of all, they're right on the sea, you see? And around the nation, you see, touching Yugoslavia is Italy, Austria, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, and Albania. Am I going too fast for you? Just think of the influences that have come from all of these nations into this place that we call Yugoslavia. It's a fascinating place. For centuries, they were under the domain of under the pressure, the rule of the Turkish Ottoman Empire, and the Austrian Habsburgs were fighting with the Turks all the time over who was going to take over Yugoslavia, as if they didn't have anything to say about it. Oh, and the Venetians, they got in on this too, from Italy, you see. They got in on the whole thing. It was wild. Yugoslavia means the land of the southern Slavs. That's the word Yugoslavia. And the 6 republics, this is your lesson, your geographic lesson. I've got to read them to you. If I can pronounce them right. Please don't send a letter if I don't. I'm trying my best. The 6 republics within the nation of Yugoslavia are these: Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina. I get a letter on that one, don't I? Montenegro, my tongue is gone today. Montenegro, and then Macedonia. Those 6. Now, the Serbs make up about 40% of the nation. They're the largest single group. And the Serbians, this is so interesting, they are Orthodox. That is to say, there is a single Orthodox church called the Serbian Orthodox Church. You'll find it in this country because the immigrants brought it with them. They brought it to America. And they also have their own alphabet, developed by Saints Cyril and Methodius. Now, when the Serbian immigrants came to this country, they brought this: the language, the alphabet, and the ethnic church. And you must understand that an ethnic church functions in this country in order to help you remember your past and to teach your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren about who they really are in terms of their bloodline and their historical line. It's very important. Now, the Croatians, another major group, make up about 22% of the nation of Yugoslavia, and they're Roman Catholic. It's all in the same little nation, you see? And they use the Latin alphabet. Isn't this fascinating? During the 10th and the 11th century, Yugoslavia was an independent kingdom. And then later, they formed a union with Hungary. And you'll see today in the food a great influence from Hungarian cuisine. I love Hungarian cooking, but that's later. 1929, we go from the 10th century to 1929. I'm hustling, kids. Hang on. The Kingdom of Yugoslavia was formed, and then in 1945, at the end of the Second World War, Tito became marshal, I suppose, but more than a president, and he was a communist, so the nation became communist. There are about 500 to 700,000 Croatians in this country, in America. A lot of fishermen in California, a lot of lumbermen, and they brought the fig to California. Isn't that interesting? Now, how are we going to deal with their food? Well, I want to introduce you to my cousin, but first I must tell you, he's my cousin-in-law. No, I am not Yugoslavian, but my cousin-in-law is Croatian. And he married the daughter of my mother's Norwegian sister who had married a Lebanese. That is to say, the daughter was half Lebanese and half Norwegian, and she married the Yugoslav, right? Only in America could you come up with such things. His name was John Sarich, and he came to my test kitchen in Seattle, a wonderful man, and he was going to try and teach Craig and I how to do Yugoslavian cooking. The first dish that he began to prepare was octopus, and he threw corks in the pot. I could not believe it. But now, here goes the octopus. I couldn't believe this. In it goes, 1 octopus leg. Isn't that lovely? Oh, it is too. It is too. That is simmered for about 25. Look at the corks. I asked him, I said, also with a bit of onion in the pot, but I said, why are there corks in the pot? And he said, because Yugoslavs always put corks in the pot, period. It's supposed to tenderize it or something. I think it's just crazy. He's now preparing a duck sauce with dried cherries. He's roasted a duck cut up into 4 pieces, but he's now sauteing a couple of onions in the oil that was left, and he's just added some Italian parsley, fourth of a cup of celery leaves, and 4 to 6 cloves of chopped garlic. Sautés that for a minute. Isn't he a neat guy? I just love him. We're such good friends. And then he added some tomatoes and cooks those for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then the wine. Half a bottle of dry red and about, where is it, John? About 1/4, there it is, 1/4 cup of dry masala. Then he added a couple of cloves and some bay leaves, a little nutmeg, some rosemary, and 2 teaspoons of Hungarian paprika. You see, I told you the Hungarians were going to get in on this. Now you bring that to a boil, simmer it for a bit, and then add the duck. And the duck has already been pan browned. You remember, we saved the fat to cook the onions in. I'll write all this out for you in a book. It's complicated on the air, but it's just delicious. Cover this up and put it in the oven for about 2 hours until the duck just collapses. And you can remove the bones. Everything falls off the bone. And you remove the bones from the duck. In the meantime, he goes on to prepare gnocchi. Now, this is a potato dumpling. He has 2 pounds of baking potatoes that he's boiled and then peeled and riced, a couple tablespoons of butter, 1 egg yolk. That's supposed to be an egg yolk, John. You just put in the whole egg. What's going on here today? A cup of ricotta, a teaspoon of paprika, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then a bit of salt, some white pepper, and a pinch of cayenne. John likes the food to have a little kick, and it's very interesting. Then they put in about, for me, it works best with about 2 cups of flour. He doesn't have 2 pounds of potatoes in there, so please don't listen to, don't look what he's doing. Listen to I talk, all right? Put in 2 cups of flour, and you have wonderful gnocchi. Now watch how he rolls these. It's just so interesting. He's such a neat guy. He had a wonderful restaurant in Seattle for a long time called Dalmatia, which is a region in Yugoslavia. See, he rolls them out about the size of your finger, a bit of the dough, and then he cuts them off into about, 3/4 inch lengths, and then smashes them with a fork to give them some texture. Then these are boiled. And you boil them until they just begin to float. And it's called gnocchi. It's spelled differently than the Italian word for gnocchi, which I told him was too much work to be making these, but I kept checking on dinner. Anyhow, it's a very interesting dish. Now he's preparing stuffed squid. He's chopped up the tentacles of the squid, cleaned them. I've showed you that so many times, I'm not going to do it now. And he's mixed the tentacles, chopped up tentacles with parsley, garlic, shallots, chopped prosciutto, Romano cheese, olive oil, the juice of half a lemon, and some salt and white pepper. Now watch how he stuffs those. You see, look how he puts them together with the toothpick. Isn't that clever? You see? He's now making something that I can't even pronounce. It is called savapchichi. It means hand-rolled sausages. I'll give you the recipe for them. His are just delicious. And finally, after about 25 minutes, he took the octopus out of the kettle, trimmed off the really big tentacles and used those for the salad too, took the skin off of the octopus, it comes right off right away, and then mixed that up with a beautiful bit of onion and peppers and lovely things, and a normal salad dressing. Now, the duck, you see, has had the bones removed, and he's added cherries, dried cherries, soaked in brandy. I'll show you those. Very interesting dish. There. The stuffed squid goes into the pan. Cook it for about 3 minutes on each side. No longer. That's perfect. Otherwise, you see, you either cook squid for a long time or barely. So it's 3 minutes, and it's time for dinner at last. Incidentally, this was my own test kitchen in Seattle. This is where Craig and I write our recipes. My mother was there with us. He puts the duck gravy on top of the noodles. These are the dumplings, the meat dumplings, a nice pepper salad, and the squid. Look how beautiful they are. Served with lemon and some slivovitz. I cannot tell you how disgusting this stuff is. It is plum brandy that in the old days had to be smuggled in from the natives who were on the boats, the Yugoslavian sailors. Dr. Lester Baskin used to give me slivovitz years ago. That was Maria Garnishelli, my editor, and this is my mother, Emily Smith, testing everything. And, of course, John. He's such a neat guy. I'm so fond of John. You know, in this country, you wind up with such interesting people in your family if you're willing to take them in. You know, he's a jewel. Let me show you how to make the sabap. Am I saying it right, John? Sabapchichi. Sabapchichi. What you need is a pound of ground lamb, a pound of ground veal. This is medium grind, nothing coarse, and a pound of pork. So you have all three of these in the pot, and you add one large onion, grated. Boy, that's the biggest onion I've ever seen. All right, I think that should be enough. And a couple of cloves of garlic, about 3, I think, would be fine for this. And I want to crush them. Chopping them is just not going to work. I want to crush them up, so I'm going to use my old garlic crusher here. 1, 2, 3 cloves will do us just well. Well, it'll do us fine. It'll do good. Come here, get in there, you rascal. All right. There we are. 1, 2, 3 cloves of garlic. Got that? And you have 3 pounds of meat and 1 big fat onion. There we are. Remember now, when you're scraping, don't scrape with the blade, with the sharp point of your blade. Scrape with the back of your blade. That way you can use this as a scraper on the board, anything you want. But if you use the sharp edge, of course you're gonna ruin the thing. I'm amazed. You know, I have French cooking students come through here who've been well trained in the schools and all, and they have really weird habits with knives. I just don't understand it. Use a knife properly. You've got 2 edges on it, and use them appropriately. That's all there is to it. All right. Beef, beef, beef. 3 tablespoons of hot paprika. Here it is. I think I just barely have 3 tablespoons. Obviously, this is a lot of Hungarian influence, you see, because the Hungarians were the ones that got so hung up on paprika. Now, a hot, medium, mild, if you'd like it a little bit hotter than what you have in the way of good paprika, good Hungarian paprika, then you can add a little cayenne. That'll work too. As a matter of fact, it'll be delicious. Some black pepper. Catch on now. This is John's cooking. John Sarich. S-A-R-I-C-H. 2 tablespoons of black pepper. Can you believe this? Oh, it's rich and just utterly delicious. And then he puts in a bit of salt, of course. And you can vary this. I'd put in about that much for mine. What's that? Oh, I suppose that's a couple of teaspoons. And then finally, a pinch of nutmeg. And I always grind mine fresh. There. What do I mean by grinding it fresh? I'll show you what I mean. That's plenty. Here, inside this, get this gadget. Inside this little gadget is a fresh nutmeg. Well, come on out of there, you. There, you see? And what you do, when you put him in there, these teeth grab onto him, and then you clamp him in there, and there's a little blade in the bottom. Isn't that fascinating? These are made in France. Well, who puts it out? The Marlot Company in France. Good company. These things will last you for years. All right. Mix all of this up. And then we want to mold them into something about 3 inches long. I don't want to take time to mold. You mix yours up longer than this, but mold into something about 3 inches long and about 1 inch in diameter, something like this. John's better at this than I am, but I think that's about what he had. All right, it's a little too large. Let's try it again. There, that's about what he had, you see? Place these on a baking sheet. Yes, rinse your hands off. Paprika's wonderful stuff. Just wonderful stuff. And paprika is the Hungarian name for peppers. But they dry theirs. We'll do that at another time. Now, I have a whole tray of these sausages. Savapchichi. I did it, John. That's right, isn't it? Savapchichi. I did it. I knew I'd make it sooner or later. Here they are. I need a platter to put these on. And you'd serve them just like this. Put them on a plate, and John makes a yogurt sauce. I've got to tell you about this. The yogurt sauce is made of course, it's homemade yogurt. Did I tell you, I make my own with quart jars, and I put them on a heating blanket overnight. Heating pad, not a heating blanket, a heating pad overnight. And I use a Bulgarian yogurt starter. I just think that's the best thing in the market. It's wonderful stuff. Well, he makes a sauce of yogurt and peeled cucumber that you've grated, and a bit of garlic, and some salt and pepper, a little lemon juice. Ho, ho, ho! We're talking heaven here. Just heaven. I have a pitcher all made for us. So let's just do it. Put some yogurt sauce on this. That should do us. And you bring this to the table and listen to them yell. It's terribly Yugoslavian, savapčići. And I'm putting it on top of the Yugoslavian colors. Notice, please, that the colors are red, white, and blue. That's the color of the Yugoslavian flag. Yes, just like ours. You're absolutely right. Now, I have a friend who's been cooking with me for a while this week, and she's just a dear. Her name is Kathy Casey. She is infamous in the Pacific Northwest, very famous young lady. She's a squirt. She's only 28. So what can an old man learn? Well, I'll tell you, I've learned so much from this gal, I can't believe it. She opened Fuller's restaurant at the Sheraton and then went to New York and then came back to Seattle and is opening restaurants there, but she teaches the rest of us. I just adore her. Anyhow, she's going to show us how to roll Burek, which is a wonderful dish from Yugoslavia. Come on, Kathy. Let's do it.
Hi.
This is the infamous Kathy Casey. She's just a delight. What do you need?
Well, I have some phyllo dough here.
I'll get the rest of this stuff.
Okay.
You get out your dough. The ingredients for the filling, you watch her now, while she arranges the dough on the board. This is a phyllo dough, a sheet of phyllo dough. The meat filling that we've used has a bit of allspice in it and some onions and some garlic. That's all we're going to put in the center. Oh, that's good fresh phyllo dough. Isn't that great
Beautiful.
to see? All right, I'll take that from you.
Okay.
When you use this stuff, be sure you keep a piece of plastic over it in the tray. Otherwise, it's going to dry out on you. It's very fragile. Do you have trouble using it?
Sometimes.
Okay. Well,
Okay. Now I have some melted butter.
Okay.
And I'm brushing the sheet with it.
Mm-hmm.
Lightly. And then I'm going to
It looks like tissue paper, Kathy.
It
It looks just like tissue paper, yeah. It's dough pulled and rolled so thin, it looks just like tissue paper.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I have some of the seasoned meat filling.
All right, seasoned meat filling, onions, allspice,
Paprika.
hamburger, paprika, a little olive oil. And of course, garlic. After all, this is Yugoslavian. We're going to cut it right down the middle.
Cut it right down the middle.
Okay.
And I'm going to roll it.
Oh, this is fun. This is fun.
Just like that. And then I'm going to roll this one.
Right. This shape one here. I want to see
Okay.
one.
All right. I'm going to brush it really lightly.
More butter.
Just a touch.
Okay.
On there. And then I'm going to roll it up in a spiral.
A snail.
A snail.
I see.
And then you put it on your tray.
Okay. Go ahead.
Very close to the edge like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, these are baked at, 375, right? 375 for about 25 minutes. Look at this. Isn't that a gorgeous little thing? And it's filled with,
Delicious.
Do you have any Yugoslavian blood?
I don't have any Yugoslavian blood, but my maiden name was Pavlitic.
How did you get that without Yugoslavian
I was
blood?
adopted.
I see. That's complicated. But anyhow, you know the Yugoslavian culture.
I do.
Thank you, my dear. Would you arrange those on a plate
I'd love
for me
to.
right here? Here you go. Put those on a plate and set them out. Well, I go on to the next thing. Oh, which is the duck sauce. Oh, John, this is it. Craig, you'll have to cook the gnocchi for me, if you will. We're really going to have a nut farm going here for you today because, as we've told you before, oh, that's beautiful, Kathy. These are not served as, well, I guess they could be hors d'oeuvres, couldn't they? But I would serve these for dinner with a good salad and some red wine and maybe this next dish. You've got it. Okay, here we go. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And welcome to Chicago. Now, Craig, this is the sauce, right?
Duck sauce with sour cherries.
Mm-hmm. These are the cherries that we put into it. The dried cherries. Well, let me show you. Because the dried cherries are really interesting things, very interesting things. You can buy them in bags in Middle Eastern markets. Dried sour cherries, it says. Or you can buy them in this country. They've been pitted. This is, what's this? American spoon. These are good. There are no pits in them. It's terrific stuff. You soak them in a little brandy for about half an hour or so, and they'll swell up. And those you stir into the duck sauce at the last moment. See them? Oh, it's rich. Okay, what do we got with the gnocchi? Just like his, huh? Are you ready? Okay, here we go. How long will these take to cook? Just a few minutes.
Just a couple minutes. They'll float up in just a few minutes,
Okay.
and then that's when they're done.
Well, I'll start dish. Right. Once they float, count to about 25, and that's it. And you're set. I think that's enough. Heat's on high, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep. Be sure and have it boiling like mad, and we'll be all right. Okay, now, I have some other things to show you. Wonderful dishes. What's next? Oh, the stuffed squid. The stuffed squid. John worked so hard on those. Did you see that? Now, you remember what he did. Once you stuff the squid with that filling that I described, you put it together with a little toothpick, you see? And this has had the skin all removed, you see? Otherwise, he'd be a purpley poo, and it's going to knock your 3-year-old out of the house. He just, what's that, Mom? Or what's that, Dad? I won't do it too. But once you remove that skin, they look very good. Where's my clamp? I ditched it, I think, here. Here it is. And we'll dish up some squid. And these are served with some lemon wedges. Craig, will you get me some lemons cut? I've got so many things going today that I've forgotten some little details. And you really shouldn't let yourself get into the kind of jam that I get into all the time, because you want to always remember a few garnishes to put on the table. That kind of makes the whole thing. There you are. Thank you. Now let me check the dumplings. Oh, they're coming up. They'll come up last, I think. Another dish I wanted to show you. It's really very lovely. Aren't those gorgeous? Beautiful. Look at that. It's a beautiful thing. Huh? That's lovely. You squeeze a little bit of the lemon slice on there. It's terrific. What's next? I have a Serbian pork seasoning that I'm not going to have time to show you, but I want to tell you about it. It's very, very simple. Serbian is one of the other major portions of the nation. You remember in Yugoslavia? Croatians and the Serbs being the two biggest, I don't want to say tribes, though they go way, way back into the history of, they go back 1,000 years. But they make a blend of ground peppers, white pepper and black pepper, a bit of salt, and fresh fennel. And you grind this up and then put it over pork. Oh, is that good? That's very, very Serbian. Terribly Serbian. Let me put that out. It's just delicious. Craig has cut this in the center and sprinkled some inside. You see the slit in the center? He opened it up like a big sandwich, and then put some of the seasoning in the center, then tied it up, put some more on the top, and then we baked it off. Oh, Serbian pork roast. It's so good. Now, we do have an octopus appetizer, too. What do we do with that? It's right here in front of me. Yes, we did make one. No, it isn't yucky. Stop that. Octopus is delicious. It is not tough. It's tender and yummy. There's one. And I have, I think we're ready for the gnocchi, aren't we? What's next? Oh, the peppers. One last thing. We got some fried peppers for you. And again, I think this has something to do with the Yugoslavian, with the Hungarian influence on the Yugoslavs, because the dish is so beautiful. Let me see. Here we go. All we've done, this is so simple it's stupid. All we've done is to cook down. These are sweet. They call them Cubanelle peppers or Cuban peppers, but this is the same sort of thing that you see in Hungary. Wonderful sweet peppers. And we cut them in half, seeded them, and then fry them in a little bit of olive oil and garlic and some salt. That's all that's in there. And you eat these as a vegetable with dinner. No, calm down. They're not hot. They're not hot. They're lovely. Now, the thing that gives them the additional flavor is a shot of vinegar. And I want to use some white wine vinegar. There. That's all you do. Just splash some white wine vinegar on the top, and they're ready to serve. Now, I think the classic dish is about ready here. Yes. See what's happened? See what's happened? They're floating. See? Okay. I think they're done. Let me check here. Sure, they're done. They're done. We don't want to cook them any longer than that. Get them out of there, for goodness sakes. And John serves these dumplings or gnocchi with that wonderful gravy on top. Drain these. I think I was talking too long. I think I cooked these just a hair too long. You must catch them when they float. Oh, they seem to be all right. See, they're still they're not goo balls, but you cook these 20 seconds too long, and honest to God, the wallpaper would prefer that. Be glued to the wall with these things. They're terrible if you do that. Okay. They're very good if you don't overcook them. That's the point I'm trying to make. Ladle here. Let me get a big one. What did I do with it? Well, excuse me. Let me get a ladle. The gravy is really not what you normally think of as a gravy. It's a duck gravy, which will be ladled now on top of see, no bones. That's why he calls it a gravy. It's not really a gravy at all. It's cooked duck with wild cherries. Isn't that gorgeous? This is typical of Yugoslavian cooking. And I think it's wonderful stuff. Today we've prepared a Serbian pork roast. Wonderful thing with lots of fennel in it. Octopus appetizer, cevapcici, sausages, duck with wild cherries, Burek, beef rolled in wonderful filo dough, sautéed peppers, and of course John's gorgeous stuffed squid. Now, the point here is that every time you cook an ethnic meal for your children, your family, your friends, you help them remember who they are. That's the point. I'm glad we could cook together. This is the Frugal Gourmet. Until I see you again, I bid you peace. Bye-bye.